So let's talk about Azure Advisor. And just a minute. Hmm. So there's advisor recommendations. Let's talk about Azure Advisor and Security Center today, if possible. I have to be on a call at 9 o'clock. You've got 45 minutes. Let's see,
Okay.
see how much I can pick up from here. Right. So do you have any virtual machines? Oh yeah, you got virtual machines. Awesome. And are they running? Start. Very good. Very good. Okay. So let's talk about both of these. So we got Azure Security Center. You got a similar name in AWS as well. It's called as Trusted Advisor, right? What this guy? Oh, we are in the Security Center. We must be in Advisor. Okay, Azure Advisor. Awesome. So what it does is it just tells you the best practices and recommendations for all the analysis and everything that you have done so far, right? Um, So basically, anything that you have created, like load balancers or traffic managers or anything that you have deployed, any infrastructure that you have deployed, it just gives you it just scans your infrastructure and tells you what's going on. You remember um, there was a program from Microsoft called as Risk Assessment Program, RAP.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
similar to that, not at that level. Um, wait a minute. Okay, so it's like your consultant. It's like your personalized cloud consultant that will help you follow the best practices to optimize your Azure deployments. So anything that you have done deployed so far, it will scan it and tell you, hey, what's going on? Are you following the best practices? How about your resource utilization, the telemetry of the usage, or any recommended solutions that can help you improve the cost and effectiveness and performance and security as well for your Azure resources. So you are actually proactive here. So you can get proactive and any actions that you may take based on the best practices recommendations, right? So indirectly, you are improving the performance, security, and high availability of your resources as and when you get opportunities to reduce your overall Azure spending, right? So you get advisor here. So there will be recommendations based on high availability, security, performance, and cost. So in high availability section, it's going to tell about the improvements that you can do as far as the continuity of your business critical applications are concerned. In the security section, it's going to detect the threat and vulnerabilities that might lead to security breaches. So there's a more detailed option that you can get in the security center that we earlier saw in the slide, this one. So that gives you a lot more um, options and gives you a lot more better scanning and a better picture of your infrastructure as far as security is concerned, talking about detections and alerts. Performance is basically to how do you improve the speed of your applications. So there will be advisors based on the performance recommendations. So Azure Advisor Performance will help us improve the speed and responsiveness of your business critical applications. So a whole lot of performance options that you may get, specifically when you have SQL DB. It will talk about the IOPS and or any good things that you can do with your database. What has been the weekly usage? What has been some activities or inconsistent activities? How do you improve the cache performance and reliability of your database, right? Things like that. So that's pretty neat overview of performance that it gives to you. The cost one, it will help us improve the and optimize the cost overall by identifying any and underutilized resources. You can get cost recommendations from the cost tab here, the advisor board. There are certain application scenarios that can result in low utilization by design, so you can often save money by managing the size and number of your virtual machines. So advisor here will monitor your virtual machine usage for 14 days and then identifies which ones are underutilized. Virtual machine whose CPU has been less than 5% and network usage is 7 MB or less for more than 4 days are considered as low utilization machines here. So advisor shows you the estimated cost and where are we going and how do you cut it down, which ones you should shut down or resize them, right? And not only for the infrastructure as service but also platform. Let's say you have a database, right? It tells you recommendations for the database as well, which ones have been underutilized, the IOPS of the database. That's nice, right? That's about all the recommendations that you'll get.
So cut downing the cost in the sense like, let's say if I have 10 VMs and my performance wise, like I have to keep them. I don't have auto scaling. Let's say I have a huge machine and my website will be hitting in the weekends. So I don't have an auto scaling option. Then like it will suggest kind of stuff like how to reduce the specific time or what.
Um, So it gives you, like the infrastructure thing that you have given. Like you have a couple of virtual machines and you want to keep it because there will be load on the weekends only. Well, it gives you an overview of the existing infrastructure that Microsoft thinks is good. Well, there could be certain things that Microsoft thinks may not be good for you or may be good for you. It is only as per the best practices that Microsoft considers as best practices. But what they think is best practices may not be best practices for us. Well, you have designed a solution for, based on your own calculations. That is best for you, and according to Microsoft, that is not best because they have just written it down. But then over a period of time, you just will realize that okay, no, this is what is good for me because
Got it.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's take a look at the other thing, which is security center, and I was talking about. Uh, Azure Security Center. This is a wonderful thing that tells you everything about Azure security and um, all the options that you have. So security is more about prevention and detection. You prevent it, get some alerts, and detect them as well. Send alerts to a team, and then what we are creating in Azure here is a whole bunch of resources that can be categorized as compute, where you're creating virtual machines. You're creating networks, where you're creating subnets, VNets, and security groups. You're creating storage and data points, where you're creating blobs, queues, tables, and files, and then various applications like web app and traffic manager. So these are the four areas where things are categorized here: compute, networking, data storage, and application. So it identifies what can be prevented and what can be identified as a threat and what's good for you. For example, the virtual machines that we have created have their hard disk on a storage account, and that storage account is not encrypted, which is not good for the data at rest. There that is sitting idle, right? Um, in the networking section, you may get certain actions on or action items on. Why don't you use HTTPS? Because when you're doing load balancer, we open port number 80 from external, which is not a good practice. So you will probably try to open up HTTPS, right? So those are the recommendations that it will give you. Let's go take a look at that. But basically, security center will help you prevent and detect and also respond to the threats when that is required, so that you get a visibility and control over the security of your Azure resources. So pretty much integrated security monitoring and helping you detect the threats that will just go unnoticed, and then you can also bring in your own security solutions into it. Say, for example, you want a Cisco intrusion detection system, or a Barracuda intrusion prevention system. Well, you can bring that in, right? So if you think that the information that's given here is pretty basic, well, you can definitely get partner solutions here, right? You click on partner solutions. You don't have any partner solutions right now, but it will give you recommendations as to what partner solutions that you can go for. Um, let's see, advanced security. So that adds threat detection. So there's a price to that, right? Okay. Does that give you an introduction here for the security overview? So you have to first go ahead and create a security policy, because you may want to scan certain things and you may not want to scan certain things. So here, when you click on your free trial, it is currently off, right, on your security group. It's currently off. Let's set it on. And do you want to collect the data from there? Yes, I want to collect. And where do you want to keep it? I want to keep it in a storage account. So all the logs that it is collecting, it will go and sit in a storage account, right? For some reason it doesn't come up, nothing to configure. So, okay, let's see. Prevention policy, yeah. So it is on for system updates, it's on for OS vulnerabilities and endpoint protection. So by default, it is giving you as on for all of these um, recommendations. There's one thing for JIT network access uh, that is available only if you upgrade. Uh, so the SQL auditing, and then SQL encryption. So anything that's related to just-in-time access, anybody who's accessing right now may, if you want real-time things, then you are actually have to pay, upgrade your services, right?
Yeah.
So just-in-time network access it's usually used to lock down any inbound traffic to your virtual machines. That will reduce the exposure of attacks while providing easy access to connect to the VMs that you need. So most common attack that people go for is a brute force attack. That is a means to gain access to a VM. So if a successful attacker can take control over the VM and establish a footprint in your environment, you know what's going to happen. So one way to reduce exposure to such brute force attacks is to limit the amount of time a port can be open. So if I close the port after a certain time and open it only when it is required, well, that works to certain extents. So certain ports, like management ports, do not need to be open at all times. They need to be only open when you connect to the VM.
Is there any baseline hardening kind of policies in it, like where Microsoft suggests like we have to do this kind of?
Baseline hardening for your virtual machines in the operating system will not be any different from what you have been doing in your production environment. So if you have a virtual machine, the server hardening and things, that will be same for you. For example, maybe you disable the user account control values, then installing the antivirus, blocking certain things, and doing the server hardening. It's all the same thing that we have always done in our on-premise environment. It does not change. Yesterday, I was actually giving an interview for Azure, and he asked me what are the troubleshooting tools that we have used when you're troubleshooting problems in Azure. Well, Azure does not give you, any troubleshooting tools, right? Our on-premise infrastructure that we have used, tools that we have used like Ping, NSLOOKUP, Telnet, Tracert, PSExec tools, PSQL, Wireshark, well, they remain the same, right? Cloud computing is not done in a magic. No, it's not giving. Uh, it's just providing an infrastructure for us and not set of tools for which you can troubleshoot. So our infrastructure skills always remains the same. And as far as your question is concerned, why does Microsoft give you a baseline configuration? Now, Microsoft does not give, or any vendor will not give any server hardening document. They may give you tools and tips, right? This is what you can do. They may give you tips that go ahead and disable your administrator account. Go ahead and disable the administrator, or maybe rename the administrator account. Disable the guest account. Go ahead and delete the following keys from the registry, or modify the following keys from the registry. Then restart the machine after a Windows update. That's for sure. Make sure that your Windows update is so and so patch level. Then install an antivirus and update the signatures and binaries. Disable the user account control values. Well, this list can keep going on depending on the environment that you're working in, right? So, hope that answers your question.
Yes, yes, Anand.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So moving forward, just-in-time access. Yeah, we were talking about just-in-time access. So when you enable this just-in-time, right, Security Center logs down any inbound traffic to your Azure VMs by creating a new NSG rule, a security group rule. So you select the ports on the VM to which the inbound rules or inbound traffic will be blocked or locked down. These ports are controlled by just-in-time solutions. So you'll get a new interface where you can then use role-based access controls to provide right access to Azure resources. Well, so you're now collected the data, you selected what do you want to prevent and what you don't want to prevent, and whom do you want the notification to go to. Usually you'll provide a DL and on-call rotational phone number here. I'll send an email about the alerts, yeah, send an email to subscription owners. It's right now grayed out, maybe because it's just in preview, right? And then you save it. Put a DL here and not a person's name. Well, usually you can put a person's name who's like really in charge, like a CIO or something. Oh, wow. So let me quickly grab the charger, okay, before we got cut off.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So everything has a lifetime. Battery has one. Okay, and then there's pricing tier. So you can select where is that? Pricing tier. So by default, free, we are getting security assessment, basic security policies, and connection with partners. But you want just-in-time VM access, network threat detection, VM threat detection, then you gotta pay for it, right? And how much you pay? You pay $15 per node per month, right? Awesome. So
Okay.
that's how it is. Cool.
This kind
Uh,
of PIM services what they are offering in?
Paid service, yes. By free,
No,
yeah.
I'm not about talking the paid service. It's like PIM, preventive intrusion management kind of
Prevent
SIM PIM.
PIM solutions.
Yeah.
I have not heard of it. PIM solution, like product information. What is that?
No, SIM, there is a security SOC tools, right? Kind of PIM, SIM.
Mm-hmm. I'm more into product
So
information
is
management.
that
Product information management.
okay?
Okay. So there are a couple of recommendations that we have here from the compute section. Let's go take a look at that and see what it is. Data collection is off. Well, let's go and say data collection is on. I think we just set that up. Oh, on. Oh, we did not save it. Okay. Awesome. Okay, that's one recommendation, which is good. Uh, Data collection installation status. What else we got? Okay, you gotta, well, you could not go and contact the VM, so you have to switch it on and set that up. Status is deallocated, and that's why it could not connect to the VM. It is not able to get any data from the VMs, so you gotta do that. Enable disk encryption. So there are two things here. Number one is setting up disk encryption. Second thing is also um, setting up storage account encryption, right? Now, let me pick up my favorite tool here called MS Paint. So let's say this is the storage account. Now, storage account. Now we know that storage account has four components. Like there's storage, blob storage, then there's file storage, then what else? Queue storage, and table storage,
Table.
right? Table storage. Now, what can be encrypted and what cannot be encrypted? What you can encrypt is the storage account itself, right? What you can encrypt is the entire storage account. But within the storage account, what you can encrypt is uh, blob storage. Everything inside the blob storage can be encrypted. Everything inside the table storage can be encrypted, and everything inside the table storage cannot be encrypted, and everything inside the queue storage cannot be encrypted at this time. So table and queue, we cannot encrypt them. The first thing we gotta do is go ahead and enable encryption on storage account. Let's go do that and see how that can be done. So you pick up storage accounts and say pick up your storage, and then if you scroll down, the blob storage, you got an option to encrypt it and enable that. That's it, right? Your storage account is encrypted. So everything,
Okay.
your storage account is encrypted. But does that mean that your blob storage and table storage is also encrypted? Well, no, it is just encrypted the storage account. What that means is everything that gets inside, everything gets inside to your storage account from now onwards starts to get encrypted. Because now you have said my storage account is encrypted. Everything that moves into my storage account from my internet or wherever, it now starts getting encrypted. But whatever is already there is not encrypted. You have to go and manually encrypt it. Or you have an option, take this, whatever information is there inside the storage account, take it out and then put it back in. Now the value will change because the storage account is encrypted. So the blob storage will also get encrypted when things go out and come back in. Or if you don't want to do or go through the painstaking process, we have to encrypt the blob storage explicitly. That means encrypting the virtual hard disks. So your VMs that you have inside the Husna storage account will not be encrypted, right? So what do we
Yeah.
have here? There's a container, so there's a boot diagnostics, and there's another one which is boot diagnostics, which is good. There's a VHD as well, which will probably have, yeah, a container. There's a couple of virtual hard disks here. So you gotta go here and encrypt this hard disk. Is there a button that says get encrypted? Well, no, there is no button because encryption is a process. It doesn't, it's not as simple as enable and disable, right? For encryption, you will need keys, and the keys are kept in the vault. The vault has a reference to it in the Active Directory, just like the way we do it on our on-premise. On-premise, you encrypt your hard disk. The keys are there with BitLocker. BitLocker is tightly integrated with Active Directory, where Active Directory will have references to the keys. So it's no different here. It's the same thing. So what we have to do is go to the security center, compute, and then say missing disk encryption. Earlier, it was prompting to encrypt the storage account, right? So let's go to the storage and see what does it say. Storage, encryption is not enabled. Well, go encrypt it then. Business storage is not encrypted, it says. Well, just say enable. Oh, if we enable that. How about the second one? Enable that and save it. It's good, right? Now, once you know doesn't go away, don't worry about it. Just say dismiss, right, or reopen. So it's okay. But that is about encrypting the storage account. How about the information inside the storage account, which is your virtual hard disk? Here, this one, missing disk encryption. That needs to be encrypted as well. How do we do that? Well, click on this link. Click on this link, encrypt an Azure virtual machine. So we scroll down, there's a whole lot of things, big lot of steps that we gotta do. Okay, a lot of steps that we gotta do. And finally, it is enabled. I will take a look at that once we have time because it will take good 1 hour to get that done, and we'll see how the BitLocker extensions are enabled. We're gonna do that tomorrow. It's quite important, and we'll see how that's done. See, what you need here is a vault. You need Azure Active Directory as well because this is where you'll keep the references to the vault. What does that say? Name of the Azure Active Directory that will be used to write secrets to the key vault. The secrets or the keys are there in the key vault, but Azure Active Directory will have an application that will have the reference to the key vault. Okay. All right, let's do this. I'm pretty much excited to run this, and I've actually copied all the script and done this a couple of times. So I've got a lot of error messages, a lot of problems, and I know how to troubleshoot that, fix that as well. So that's one of the recommendations. Okay, networking. Any recommendations? Nothing. Oh wow. Okay, what is the problem? Enable network security groups on, what does it say? Virtual. Enable, configure missing network security groups. So it seems like there are no security groups on this one. Go create a security group. It is what it is saying. Because you know why? Because it's going through the load balancer. So no worries there. Storage and data. If you got in a web apps, right? I don't think you have any web apps, so that's why it's not putting any recommendations right here. So I hope you got an idea about this one now. A security center, right?
Yeah.
So it gives you pretty good recommendations on the applications. It says protect your applications and put this, and mostly like a selling point for Microsoft. They say, why don't you add a WAF, web application firewall? right? WAF. So because your load balancer is public facing, why don't you put a WAF, web application firewall? So that will give you an additional security Microsoft wants to sell. But at the same time, nothing's come free. So, and we gotta protect our environment as well. Um, well, yeah, that's what I can think of as far as security is concerned. Um, Yeah, take a look at detection, security alerts, detection. So there's a whole lot of detection that it may want to do, which helps you identify any active threats. Are there any active threats on your Azure resources? What's going on right now? So there has been significant changes in threat as far as the word threat landscape is concerned. Over the last 20 years, there has been a lot of changes, and companies typically only had to worry about, my website defacement. Somebody can just attack my website and deface my website. So um, so we always were interested in what they could do. Today's attacks are much more sophisticated and organized, so it's become an organized crime now. So they often have specific goals, financial goals, strategic goals. So attackers want to make easy money. So now that they have the knowledge, they can utilize that to make money out of it. So they also have more resources available to them. So attackers are also funded by nations, funded by organizations, funded. So it's become a more organized crime to make money out of the website. So that approach has led to a level of, an attacker has now become a professional attacker, and they have the ranks within them. So they're no longer interested in defacing your website. They are interested in stealing your information, stealing your financial accounts and private data, so that they can then sell it and generate cash out of it out in the open market to leverage in a particular business or political position or military position. So even more concerning than those attacks or the financial objective are the attacks who would like to breach networks to do harm to people, harm to infrastructure. So organizations will deploy various solutions to do that, which focuses on defending either the enterprise perimeter. Or, by the way, that I'm planning to build a website, and we almost were done about like 80%, and it's still live. It's called certglobal.com. Still live out there, and yesterday we saw all of a sudden that there were 70 registrations in the website, and we were like so happy one day. 70 registrations. So we picked up the email addresses, and I checked at the spam list. There are certain websites that tell you an email address is spam or not. 90% of them were spam. They're all spam. They use spam registration. So now we gotta have an HTTPS, a certificate built into it. So we'll buy a certificate and put that, and then we also want to do a CAPTCHA registration that will make sure that it's not done by the bots or robots. You want to say something, Sally?
Nothing else. So the Cert Global is your website?
It is. It is. It is. This one. How do you know? How do you know, Sally?
I'm just checking. Is that you?
Okay. Okay. That's my number. Call me.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Triple nine wala number is better.
No, I use this number for all business purposes, and my
Okay.
other number is for all personal things. So I will
Okay.
know, so that when I get a call, I'll know who's calling.
Okay.
Right, right. Okay. So I made some Facebook links as well. Made some Twitter links as well. Uh, just trying to do something. So just it's not yet done, but like I said, it's not 100% done. It's just 70% probably. So it will do analytics based on threats, based on threat intelligence, based on behavioral analytics, and based on any anomalies or deviations that it may find while somebody is trying to access it. So you will have a statistical profiling built within your infrastructure, all the statistics of your infrastructure. And based on the statistics, it creates a baseline. And any deviations from the baselines are considered as a potential threat vector. And it then points and puts it in the security alerts. So Microsoft has enormous amount of global threat intelligence that just flows into multiple sources from Azure, from Office 365, from CRM Online, Dynamics, Outlook.com, MSN. Microsoft has a separate unit called as DCU. They call it as Microsoft Digital Crimes Unit, and another one called as Microsoft Security Response Center, MSRC. So researchers receive threat intelligence that is shared among various cloud service providers as well, not just Microsoft, um, and then they subscribe to the threat intelligence feeds from third parties. Security Center from Azure uses that information to alert you to threats from bad actors, right, or bad malicious attempts. So there's a lot. Security is never done. Security is never done. We can keep on talking about security; it will never be done. And organizations can keep on updating their devices and updating the signatures and keep on getting new sophisticated infrastructure, and that will never be done as well. Because when we reach a certain step, um, the attackers who are far more intelligent, it's not that they are intelligent, it's just that they have a lot of time to do those things. They are dedicated. It's their job to let somebody not do their job. So it's like denial of service is their job, distributed denial of service is their job, doing brute force attacks and stealing proprietary information is their job. So when they are at it, they will be also using more sophisticated information or more sophisticated equipments, applications, or custom built applications to attack the organizations. And that's why I was saying security is never done. You can buy the most expensive suite of security applications from the best company in the world that Gartner has said that this is the application that you can have, and that will be valid only for a day because the security experts on the other side have built another set of applications that is best than the best. So security is never done. As far as learning security, it's never done. Implementing security, it's never done. Protecting your information, it's never done. It's a continuous improvement. So, well, yeah, that's the whole thing about security. So we can just keep on reading information, and you will know that more you read, you will find that more you gotta read. It's never done. So with that, we conclude the session for today about security, and we learned about Advisor and Security Center. And tomorrow we'll go ahead and pick up some more of security and see how we can encrypt the hard disk or the virtual hard disk that we have for the virtual machines using certain commands and PowerShell skills that we can show off tomorrow. All right. Thank you.